Hi everyone, John here, and we're going to be talking about the Disney Villains Tarot today. Disney Files rejoice. You are going to love this deck. I'm going to take a good look at it today, and I hope you'll stick around. See you soon! Hi everyone again, Astro Tarot John here, talking about the Disney Villains Tarot. So I have the box in front of me, and as you look at it, it's well constructed. It pulls straight up, and inside you're going to see that it has a book and the cards are underneath. So the presentation honestly is pretty good. I gotta tell you, if you don't know your Disney very, very well, and to be honest, I thought I did, and I realized I did not know as much Disney as I thought, you're gonna need the book to figure out who's who. Some of them are gonna be obvious, but some of them, for example, like the Hermit is a character from Meet the Robinsons that I had never heard of before. So you are gonna need to make sure you have the book handy. I just put notes in it. You're going to see that I wrote just the names of the movie where the person was featured so I could remember it as I'm reading the cards. I'm not a huge fan of the card stock. It's thin, it's slippery, and I had trouble getting only one card at a time. And when you're doing a reading, you want to make sure you're getting the card you're supposed to get. I understand that sometimes there's randomness and you pick two cards and then you end up deciding intuitively which one to use, but it's not something that is ideal. So I'm not a huge fan of the card stock itself. And I know I sound like a broken record when it comes to card backs, but I guess I don't really understand why a greater effort isn't made on the card backs. This particular card back looks a lot like the wallpaper in the Haunted Mansion, just purple. And it's okay. It's not great. Again, I think they could have gone to a greater effort to make it more interesting. So the first card we're going to look at in the Major Arcana is going to be the Lovers. And in this particular deck, it's listed as True Love. This is Ursula's alter ego, Vanessa, from The Little Mermaid, with, of course, The Little Mermaid and the Prince. Kind of a neat way to put this card together. You're going to find in this particular deck that there are not a lot of similarities to any tarot deck you've seen before. The symbolism isn't really going to help you. So if you haven't done a lot of work with the tarot before, you may find yourself struggling to figure out a meaning just from this alone. My choice, hands down, for the best Major Arcana card in this deck is Hades from Hercules. A great choice for death. Just an all-around excellent character to pick from, great villain. I'm a huge fan, and yeah, okay, for those of you who know me, I am a sun sign Scorpio, so I'm a little biased, but I really do like this one, and it gives a little bit of whimsy to a card that a lot of people are going to find unsettling. Disney's treatment of the Tower involves Rapunzel and her golden hair. The Tower in this card doesn't give you any kind of idea of the shock and awe that I normally see with the Tower. Now, I also keep in mind that this is Disney and they're trying not to be deliberately graphic. They're trying not to make people afraid. So understandably, it's going to look a lot different than the Tower on many other tarot decks. However, this is a neat treatment. It's a great way of doing it. Again, it just doesn't give me any impression of what the card really means. The sun in this Disney Villains deck is Tomatoa, the giant crab from Moana. This is a character that I had completely forgotten about until I read the book. This is a neat idea and a great way to represent the sun. Of course, the sun's an incredibly positive card, but this is the Disney Villains deck, so it's going to have a villain on it. Again, a great treatment. It looks exactly like the sun in this case, and I feel like they did a nice job with this one. As we move into the court cards, you're going to find that the kings and queens are the more major villains from the Disney movies. The page and knight are lesser villains, but still dastardly characters, if you will. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the King of Swords, which is Scar from The Lion King. He's a great choice. He's an absolutely wonderful choice for this card. And considering some of the things that he said with the swords focusing on the communicative part of life, this is someone who has a lot of trouble doing the right thing and says things that are very, very nasty. So I like this card choice for the King of Swords. The Page of Wands is Iago from Aladdin. I loved this choice. I thought this was an excellent selection. Iago is a very memorable character for me, and I did not see too many Aladdin references in this particular deck, so I really liked the choice of Iago as the Page of Wands. The Knight of Cups is represented by Gaston. Gaston was a minor villainous figure in Beauty and the Beast. Obviously, he could have been represented as a major figure, but I like this choice of the Knight of Cups. Personally speaking, I think he could have done better as the Knight of Wands, but that's just me. I like this choice. I think it's a good choice, generally speaking, and Gaston is someone who a lot of people remember and resonate with. Let's get to the more disappointing part of this deck, the pips. So if you don't know, the pips are the ace through 10 of each suit. And incidentally, in this particular deck, Disney is not using pentacles, they're actually using coins. So the 4 swords are going to be wands, cups, swords, and coins. This particular area of the deck is not one that I liked because it's almost like they didn't try very hard. So you're going to see on this particular card, this is the 10 of swords, and it's really just 10 swords in the ground. Now, for those of you who know the Rider-Waite, it's 10 swords through a person and there's some blood. Obviously, this is a Disney deck, so there aren't going to be any references to violence or gore in this particular deck. However, what's important for you to understand is that if you don't know what the 10 of swords means, you're not going to be able to get any help from this particular deck at all. And I go back to that, I know, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you don't know the cards, that's okay. Just make sure you're using a book with it so you get it as you're doing a reading for someone. What is interesting to me is that I actually found one card that has some similarities to the Rider-Waite. This is the 8 of Wands. I'm going to put the Rider-Waite Smith 8 of Wands up in the inset so you can see the difference. The 8 wands are moving through the card in the same direction as they are on the Rider-Waite Smith, which I found very interesting. But honestly, this is one of the very few references to the Rider-Waite Smith in this deck. And to be fair, I don't even really know if they did it on purpose. In the rest of the deck, they did not seem to make any overt references to the Rider-Waite at all, probably because, again, this is Disney and they don't want anything to sound occult or pagan in any way or make any references to things in that vein. So my conclusions for this deck are pretty simple. If you love Disney, you will love this deck. Obviously, if you're not a huge Disney fan, you can probably give this one a pass. When I'm talking about regular reading for clients or for people that you know, again, I'm not a huge fan of it because of the card stock and because of the back that's a little bit slippery. I felt like I had to struggle a little bit to use this deck, not necessarily for interpretations, but just pulling the cards out and using them. Also, because a lot of the villains are not in movies that I've seen, my Disney knowledge is somewhat scattershot. I've seen a lot of Disney movies a number of times, and some of them I've never seen at all. So I found that it was difficult to resonate with especially some of the major arcana because I had never heard of the characters before and or because I had never seen the movie before. But if you're a Disney-phile, this is definitely one for you. If you live in Northern Virginia, the only place to pick it up is going to be Sticks and Stones in Fairfax, Virginia. It's the shop where I read cards. They have about 100 tarot decks on sale, but the Disney Villains Tarot is one of them. So definitely go in and take a look. If you're not in Northern Virginia, you can always try the Zon. I know Amazon has all of the different Disney tarot decks I mentioned earlier, including the Disney Villains Tarot. Thanks everybody for tuning in for my video review of the Disney Villains Tarot. Please tune in again soon, like and subscribe if you haven't, and have a great day.